have to look for that.
It is fantastic.
Nice.
It's not diet Dr. Pepper. It's Dr.
Right.
Pepper zero sugar.
Zero
So it
sugar.
tastes different.
I
And it's
love
good.
zero sugar stuff because it tastes great.
Yep. Mountain Dew zero sugar is really good.
I'm drinking zero Coke right now. So
Let's go. Let's do this.
I'm drinking zero
Tim,
sugar water.
I was telling Jesse before you came in, with the light news this week, probably would be better for us to spend more time on what we've been playing in questions, since we have an abundance of those.
Okay.
So,
did we want to do my discussion though?
Yeah, we'll do that too. I mean, but
gotcha.
We're just gonna go.
We're gonna get through the news like and stuff. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
We're gonna hit the high points and be like, let's move on because we're lots of discussion this week.
Okay. Yeah, and then you had a good point about talking about our disappointment with the Square Enix stuff too.
Yeah.
So, but I do believe that we'll have a good discussion around that too. So
sure.
Yeah. All right. Ready, Jesse?
Ready.
Okay. 3, 2. Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 318, recorded on 3/18/221. On tonight's episode, we discuss the Square Enix Presents event disappointing most Nintendo fans, the possibility of outgrowing Nintendo, and of course, your questions and whatever else we decide to come up with. Jesse, you know what to do.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Marty here, and it's episode 318 of Nintendo Dads, as Tim said, recorded live on March the 18th, 3/18/2021. I am joined tonight by two of our regular cast members, and we are going to hit the news, but there's not that much news this week, let's be honest. Mainly just disappointment and sadness. But tons of your feedback and questions that we're going to cover here, as well as what we've been playing. Joining me on the show tonight, Mr. Tim Off. How are you doing up there in snowy Michigan?
Oh,
snowy right now?
No, I thought for sure you were going to say Minnesota. Sure.
I'm trying to turn over a new leaf here and respect you a little more. I don't know.
Okay. I'm doing good. That's a lot going on, but as usual, being able to come on and talk video games helps break up the week and everything like that, even if we were slightly disappointed for reasons.
Well, yeah, and I don't know, I know you've had kind of a rough week dealing with some stuff. We went from having near tornadic weather here yesterday to it's 40 degrees here today.
Yes, we've been getting a few of those days too. Yeah.
75 yesterday, 45 today. Welcome to Tennessee.
See, ours is a little bit different, where we get 40 to 50 and we're happy, and then it drops down to 20s and 30s, and we're cold.
Still cold. It's all cold. Speaking of all cold, joining us tonight from Kansas City, where you actually got snow this week, right?
Yeah. Well, we had a tornado touchdown earlier this week, and then we had, I don't think we got any here, but there was like 2 to 4 inches in the forecast in like southern metro. So
there you go. Yeah. Mr. Jay Baldak. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Yeah. This is the Nintendo Dad's meteorology department signing off.
All right. Yeah. Not only
now over to you, Marty.
Not.
Actually,
you, boss.
Quick funny story here. Like, when I was a kid, I had one of those kid weather stations.
Oh yeah.
And I took it way more seriously than I should have. But I even had I printed up back in the time of computer printed banners. I printed off a banner and hung it up again above the wall where I had everything. The WLDK Weather Center.
I love it.
Makes it sound like you're a TV or radio station.
I love it.
How are you doing, Marty?
I am doing good. It's been a hectic week here. I mean, the weather was so bad last night that we canceled our church services and things, and then it didn't do anything.
I love those
Typical
kind of
Tennessee.
things.
It's typical Tennessee. Not only is Jesse an expert meteorologist, he's also gone into the desk moving business. And for those of you who are watching us on YouTube and Twitch, that's why we were a little late starting up the show tonight. So apologies there, but Jesse had to do that honeydew calls every now and then. Right?
Yeah, we had, it was a combination of the youngest daughter's boyfriend celebrating his 21st birthday. We went to a Chili's, and the intention was to order some alcohol for those who are old enough to partake. And our waiter was, a kid younger than our daughter, and
couldn't do it.
He tried. I think he tried to convey the messages to the bar that we wanted to order these things, and they just never showed up.
Oh, wow. Well, it's a lesson learned. I have this theory that until the pandemic ends, every birthday has to suck.
Okay.
I mean, I was supposed to turn 40 last year, and my wife's like, if y'all remember, she was like, oh, I was going to throw you this really awesome surprise party with friends you haven't seen in years coming in and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Suck
COVID
birthdays.
decided to come crash your party.
Right. You know what doesn't suck, though? When we talk about the news. So how about we get right into that, shall we? And each and every week, Tim, tell them who our news is brought to us by.
Our wonderful Patreons every week who give us a little bit of their money to help us out each and every week, each and every month, just to help us meet our goals.
And not only do they do that, they give us joy.
Yes. They come join us in the Discord and have wonderful discussions with us and with each other. And I love reading the conversations that people are having in there.
Joy is priceless.
Yes.
Joy is priceless. And they give us their presence and y'all, like, so cool that we get to be a part of that Patreon community with us. So again, for $1 a month, you can head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads and join up on the Discord. For $5 a month, gets you full access to the Discord. And $10 a month gets you pre and post show audio. And $30 a month gets you the Patreon producer level where you get to be on the show. Be on the show. We'll seat you right next to Tim. We promise he doesn't bite.
I got a seat right here.
Yeah, it's just a seat right there in the Tim cave.
It just folds out. I have a nice folding chair I put over here.
Yep. I love it. So
I'll do a quick plug for the monthly mayhem. Any patron of any level is able to participate.
Yes.
We just recently wrapped up, or Drew and John recently wrapped up the Bowser's Fury and Super Mario 3D World. One person got a perfect score of 100% in the game, and I think there was a three-way tie for fourth place, which was getting everything except for the 5 stamps that required you to beat every level with every character. And then this upcoming one is going to be another tournament style where you have to pre-register and say, hey, I'm interested. For more information on that, listen to the last Dads After Dark show episode that was posted either in their feed or our YouTube channel. And you have to be signed up by noon Eastern on Sunday. So like in two days or 3 days.
Yes.
And just for those listening, the game is?
It is a selection of games from NSO. So the way, I don't even know what they're doing. Only they know what they're doing right now.
Yeah,
basically
they're gonna put it together.
So they're like, if they say Tim and I are up head, we still don't know what the game is. We will schedule time to play this on Tuesday at 5:00, and they say, okay, here's the challenge. You have 30 minutes to give us your score. And we have 30 minutes to do whatever it is they want us to do.
I love it.
With no practice.
It could be co-op or versus.
Look, those guys over there putting that together, Drew and John, brilliant. Y'all are doing such a good job. involved in the
every month
community.
or two. Yeah,
And
definitely.
look, can I just say this? Every dad universe podcast, friend of the dads right now is killing it.
Yep.
Dads After Dark, killing it, especially like adding in the new, like the betwixt stuff. Love
Yeah.
it. Dad Crossing, killing it. Uh, Dinner Table, killing it. Retro Logic, killing it. You should not have to search for things to listen to on the Nintendo Dads Podcast Network,
Yep.
right? You
And even
shouldn't
if
have
you
to at all.
want to talk about stuff that you might not hear we talk about, that's where the dinner table comes in. If you're a Patreon, you get to come join in and be on the podcast of your own making, because that's what the
Yep.
dinner table is. We all sit around and just chit chat about gaming in general, and then there's a main topic we'll talk about. In fact, this one coming up tomorrow night, in fact, or tonight, depending on when you're listening to this, if you're not listening live or watching us live, we're going to be doing dinner table at midnight, which is technically Saturday morning, uh, in the Eastern Standard Time, to celebrate Animal Crossing. So we're doing dinner table with the Dad Crossing crew. We're doing a cross show. So
So that is the 20th. That is the anniversary.
it is the 20th. Yeah, we're celebrating right at midnight. So we delayed the usual time for dinner table a couple hours so that we can do it at midnight, so that Sean, the co-host of the Dad Crossing show, could join in because he's in the UK.
1-year anniversary of Doom Eternal.
Yeah, that too. Yes, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to celebrate that. But I think we have one more seat left to actually do what we did with them on when we did the cross show with them. And we went in on Nick's Island and did the Nintendo Dads episode in Animal Crossing. We're doing the same thing with the dinner table on Nick's Island. And there's, I think, one more seat left for someone to join. But even though there's only one more seat left in the Animal Crossing game, everybody can still join and talk in Discord and in the chat. And it'll all be live on Twitch and YouTube.
On pay-per-view.
Not live on pay-per-view this Sunday. Oh, wait, no, it's Saturday.
I love it. Well, here's what
Saturday morning at snore o'clock.
Yeah, it's what I'm going to be doing. I'm sorry, y'all. Like, I want to be in the dinner table so bad, but it's just so late. I can't.
Yeah, this one was definitely made later.
Yeah,
so
it's usually too late for me. Well, guys, let's talk about some news. Let's serve up a dish of disappointment here. The Square Enix Presents that debuted today, the very first direct-to-you presentation from Square Enix, had a lot of fans buzzing ahead of time, thinking that surely we would get some Nintendo news. And, you know, to be honest, I think that what happens with a typical Nintendo Direct happened with this. They did not subscribe to the Nintendo Dad's patented theory, high hopes, low expectations. And there were all kinds
my
of
modified
crazy...
one, which...
Yeah. And what's that again?
No expectations.
No expectations, right? I didn't have any expectations, and honestly, they managed to even undercut that with it. So, if you didn't know, this came out today. It's on the 18th, and was a huge look at what's coming out from Square Enix on all platforms. But apparently, they have forgotten that the Nintendo Switch exists, because we're getting just 3 games over the course of the next little bit. I'm going to go ahead and name those games. One of them is coming out next week, Balan Wonderland, however you pronounce it, comes out. And it's not just for Switch, it's for all platforms, including Steam. But then 2 games will be published physically by Strictly Limited Games. Darius Cosmic Revelation, which is coming to Nintendo Switch and PS4. Okay.
These are being physical games published by Strictly Limited Games.
Right.
Yep.
But they're also going to be available for download, like digitally.
I presume
if they aren't already.
Bubble Bobble 4 Friends is the other one, and it is also available already on Nintendo Switch and
Yeah.
PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
This
in my little research, there are 2 other Darius Cosmic games on the Switch that were both released in June last year, which is a collection of other like arcade games, which I didn't even know of here of this franchise, and yet there's apparently 12 games on it. I don't think there are any duplicates, so I think what's in Revelation are different games that are not in the collection arcade and the collection console.
Jesse, I'm going to be real honest with you here. I didn't know that many Darius games existed.
Yeah, neither did I until today.
I only knew about them because our friends at Retro Logic were looking up all the available collections of classics on the Switch, and I had looked up these ones that were missing. Actually, I don't think it was Retro Logic. It might have been Sam. I think he was looking at them all. So,
let me say this. I mean, the only new game from Square Enix coming to Switch is Balan Wonderland. These are just, I would guess, limited physical releases of other games. But here's my question. Because here's the deal. I'm going to say this. I did not expect Forspoken to run on the Nintendo Switch. I don't expect Marvel's Avengers to run on Nintendo Switch unless it's a cloud version, right? I don't expect Outriders or Tomb Raider to run on Switch unless it's a cloud version. Let's be honest, it's not going to handle it, or if it does, it's not going to look well if it's look good if it's not a cloud version. But here's my question: why are they doing nothing? And before somebody says, well, we're getting Project Triangle Dinner Bell or whatever, like Triangle Strategy or whatever, is that even, and we just got Bravely Default. Well, is Triangle Strategy even coming to Switch this year? I think it's 2022.
It's a 22 game.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm saying. You've got a company that's sitting on what has to be some of the most classic JRPGs of all time. Final Fantasy, the whole.
Oh, geez, I thought you were talking about Nintendo. Sorry, go ahead.
The whole entirety of the NES and SNES Final Fantasy plus Chrono Trigger.
Right.
And they are just going to sit.
Don't we have the same question on some of the things Nintendo does too? Like, they're sitting on things that we know could make them money, but they don't do anything with it. We're past it now, really. But they did nothing for Chrono Trigger's 25th. There's not a hide nor hair nor scent of Super Mario RPG, even though it was on the SNES Classic. Nothing. Right. I'm very underwhelmed. I don't understand it.
You
have a system that is
a Dragon Quest
proven
spin-off in a while, and they normally are pretty liberal with the spin-offs, but the last thing they've done on consoles is release Dragon Quest 11 3 times.
And was that one before or after Dragon Quest Builders 2?
It was in 2019. No, in 2018 it was on PS4. 2019 was on Switch, and Builders 2 was also on Switch that year. Builders 2 came first.
Okay.
And then last year it came out to Xbox and
that's it.
And then the S version also was re-released on PS4. And now it's on Stadia.
You've got right. And there's the other thing is you've got all these other games that are on Stadia. Chrono Trigger's on Steam. Chrono Trigger is on iOS. Final Fantasy IV is on iOS. Final Fantasy VI is on iOS and Android, I think. But so don't let me cut those people out. But
yeah, I think all the Final Fantasies up to 9 are on mobile. All the Dragon Quests up to 8 are on mobile.
At this point, the only thing I know is it's money on the table. The Switch prints money. Where are these games? I know we talked before the show that you guys were disappointed too. I mean, without running over like what amounts to a huge deal of announcements for other systems that really don't matter because they're not Nintendo. What? I mean, they matter. It's just nobody would
Right.
expect us to talk about them. What are your feelings coming out of this? Like, do you have any answers?
I don't know if it's an answer, but I did notice that, all of their games are leaning towards what uh, Blizzard is doing, and Activision and EA. They're trying to do the all hyper realism garbage. That, it's pretty for 2 years, but after that, it starts to look like garbage. Um, the only game that's stylized is Balan Wonderworld, and we've not heard good things about how that demo is running.
Honestly, the Balan Wonderland, I've played the
Wonderworld.
demo. I've watched the video like leading up to it. And when they announced it, they acted like it was supposed to be this huge announcement, right? Like, I don't get it. Like, why
Yeah.
should I care about
Not
it?
only it's we've known about this already, so it's not a.
No,
I
I'm
don't know
talking
why
about
all
like
the hype behind
when
it.
we first found out about it.
Oh, okay.
Like everybody was like, Balan Wonderland. Why should I care? I don't like it looks stupid.
I
I'm
don't even know
sorry.
what the gameplay is
Y'all,
supposed to be.
For those of you who are watching and those of you who are listening, I've just not had the best day. And so I'm kind of a little unfiltered here. It looks stupid. I don't get it. Like, I think that they're reaching for the like Donkey Kong 64 Banjo Kazooie collectathon type ukulele fans with all the like, oh, there's so many costumes and stuff. Well, that doesn't matter if the game is trash. And like, I haven't heard one person yet be like, oh man, I'm so excited for like I don't know.
What game was it that I wanted to pick on? I think it was Marvel's Avengers.
Also trash.
Yeah, well, they're hyping up the PS5 and Xbox Series versions on how more detailed textures, higher resolution, but is the gameplay any better? They didn't say anything about that.
No, my favorite.
I noticed that.
Yeah, my
right
favorite
away.
part when they talked about Avengers was like, there's better graphics and improved textures and better destruction.
Who cares?
I am a Marvel fanatic, and I cannot make myself finish Avengers. I cannot do it. It's like pulling teeth.
That's the problem with these games as a service games is you have to put out content continually if you want people to keep playing.
Well,
they've had
the content from the beginning needs to be good.
That too. But the initial content wasn't good. I think they've had one update so far with Hawkeye coming.
They just updated with Hawkeye, and
so
upscale to PS5 and Xbox Series.
Okay,
X.
so that's the second update, I think, and then there's a Black Panther update coming later. But how long are the gameplay loops for these expansions? Just 2 or 3 hours.
And here's the other thing.
And then they expect you to grind them to get levels.
I bought it on PS5 or PS4 because I was promised Spider-Man. There is still no Spider-Man.
And they haven't went through that promise yet?
Yeah, they haven't even shown what Spider-Man's going to look like in this game. And the thing is at this point, when I've played the Spider-Man and Miles Morales on PS5 and like the good, like the PS5 versions, the remastered version of regular Spider-Man and Miles Morales, like I don't need Avengers Spider-Man. It's not going to live up to anything that I want it to.
Yeah, you've already played Miles Morales. That's probably a 5 times better game.
Oh, it's 10 times better. Like the thing is like
I own it, but I haven't played it yet.
If you can take a game, like if you can take a iconic characters like the Avengers and make playing as them boring, then you have done something wrong.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to other MMOs. Like I said in the past, I used to play Everquest. That game's still going on. It has just celebrated its 22nd anniversary. Everquest is old enough to drink a year now. And it was, at least initially, it was a difficult gameplay. You really had to dedicate yourself to figuring out the gameplay mechanics, and things have gotten easier over time. But like the initial game had probably 300 hours of content in it. Mm-hmm. And then they put out yearly, for a while, every 6 months expansions. That would just, while they would, one person could probably get through it in a few months, but you're going to need a raid to do it, and everybody in the raid wants to get geared up eventually to prepare for the next expansion. So that's the loop that keeps people playing. To make sure you've got 50 or 60 or 70 people geared up for the next run, not just grinding numbers for the sake of grinding numbers.
Yeah, Tim, you've been sitting patiently, listening to us just trash this and Avengers and other things. What are your thoughts on this? Like, obviously, you said you agreed that it missed the mark,
right? Because I think it missed the mark because it did have the opportunity to take some of what us Nintendo fans were looking for, or even still. Let me take a step back. They missed the mark because I think they could have totally given us Life is Strange, but they didn't. Mm-hmm. At least not in this presentation.
Yeah. And even if it's the non-remastered version that could run on a PS3,
it couldn't be that. And I think we could have gotten the Tomb Raider collection as well. Even if it's not the remastered version, even if it was the ones that could have run on it, I think they probably could have done it. But I had 3 things that I wrote down that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. There's a reason why I always have to remind myself of this whenever there is a presentation from any company. One, they're usually trying to reach to a wider audience. So there's something for everybody. So there's going to be something for various generations or genre, that they're going to touch on. And so they can let people know, hey, we got something that you probably want to play. There might not be anything you want to play, but that's what they're trying to do, is trying to reach to everybody. Number 2 is I can't remember one third party, not talking E3, well, even some E3s as well, but one third party presentation that had a major Nintendo announcement during that presentation. Why is that? Because they usually leave the heavy hitters for Nintendo Directs. The big ones, I would think, like your Chrono Trigger 25th anniversary game, if they're going to re-release that, I would think would be on a Nintendo presentation.
Can I hop in here though?
Sure.
And before I wanted to say this before I forget it, because I will. But do you think that that's more of a Nintendo problem though? Because I think it is. I think it's a problem. I don't think it's a good thing for Nintendo.
I didn't say it was a good thing. I just say that's what I've seen.
Like
is that
Sony and Microsoft don't care if big third-party titles get announced during other people's directs. Nintendo, though, wants those because information and new releases were so sparse during the Wii U days that we've built up this expectation for Nintendo Directs of, there's got to be some huge third-party announcements. They've got to come out swinging. They've got to do this, and if they don't, then it's a huge failure. And I think that's a strike against Nintendo, because let the companies make their own reveals.
I think still, even with the PlayStations and the Xboxes, that if there's a new announcement for a game, that they want to do it either at one of their own presentations. If it's an update or just DLC or whatever, like, was there anything new announced in this? Like brand new? Which one?
Forspoken.
Well, that wasn't announced already? I thought I heard.
I thought it was brand new. And maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was brand new. It's the first time I've heard about it.
Yeah, well, okay. Even the actress that talked about it before they started everything, she didn't even refer it to that. She referred it to whatever the project name was, the pending title. So I actually had that in the notes, blah, blah, blah,
Okay.
blah, blah, pending title. And then when they revealed the logo at the end, I'm like,
I mean,
oh,
I know
crap, they
Outriders
actually
has
named
already
it.
been revealed.
Yes.
Uh,
So their Forspoken was the one more thing type of thing, or the
yeah, it
ending type
was.
of
It
thing.
was.
So
And I get what you're saying. Like
yeah,
we've seen a lot of these big third parties at Sony and Microsoft's E3 or the State of Play or whatever. I just think that you see big third party announcements happen more often outside of than for other systems happen outside of those official channels than you do with Nintendo. I think that maybe they're a little more tight on that.
And something you said, I'm agreeing with. You asked if it was a Nintendo problem more than a Square problem, and I would say yes, because Square doesn't publish games on Switch. You know, they like the Dragon Quest and the Final Fantasies, they self-publish in Japan, but when that comes out in North America, Nintendo always publishes those.
Yeah.
Even though Square is busy publishing these bigger games for the other systems, and not doing anything with the Switch. So, I would have liked to see Square doing their own publishing in the West as well, and get to have them responsible for getting the word out more than Nintendo. But as long as Nintendo has the publishing rights to those games, Square's hands are tied on that point. It is up to Nintendo.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah. So it also may rely on that. If anything is coming to Nintendo and they're publishing it, Nintendo's going to announce it, most likely. So,
That's
but
true.
it still leaves open some of the disappointment. Like I said, I was fully expecting a Life is Strange port type of thing to be
As
available.
much as like as much as John's been talking about it from Dad's After Dark, like
Yeah.
about how much he loves it, and he's like, it's my favorite game. Now I want to play it.
Yeah,
And I'm glad that there's a collection. But here's another thing that I will be extremely disappointed if any of these get the Nintendo Switch logo snuck in afterwards. Like we've started
We've
seeing that.
seen that happen
Yeah.
before.
We've seen that happen.
that's
I'm
what
like,
I was
why would
thinking
you
was that could
not-
possibly happen too.
Why would you not announce it for Switch during the summer? Because
If they're
like,
doing
every
this
time
during a
that I hear-
PlayStation announcement or an Xbox announcement,
Yeah.
I understand that. But these are your announcements.
like
There
every
should be no
time
reason for that.
I hear coming to consoles, that's when you have to start digging. Well, did they mention
Which
Switch? Is there an image out there that shows the Switch logo alongside everything else? That's how we find out about a lot of these
That's
things.
exactly what I did. I did drill down to try to find if Life is Strange is coming to Switch or
To
not.
me, that's frustrating and a little unnecessary at this
And
point.
in fact, they didn't even announce in the presentation what systems they are. I had to dig into the website to find that.
Yeah.
I did put
I'm
that in
not
the notes, but again, we probably don't care since they're not coming to Switch.
I'm not sure if you guys mentioned this in regards to the Marvel Avengers talk, but Mecha Dragon brought it up, was the Black Panther DLC that's also coming later.
Yeah, that's the third one. And then
Yes.
I guess PlayStation will get a fourth one with Spider-Man because I think they said
Yes.
DLC would come out up to a year out from the release, and it released did it not come out in April of last year? Avengers?
Sounds about right.
I think it did.
don't
But
It
I
was
would
early-ish
expect
released.
I would expect some of that has been delayed by COVID. But
Right.
if you were disappointed by Square's presentation today, let us know either in the chat or send us a message. Hit us up over on our Patreon or Twitter. We'd love to commiserate with you.
Apparently, it was August.
It's all over our
Oh,
Discord
August.
as well. So
Okay, yeah, it's all over. Yeah, hit us up there. Let me hit some news beats really quick. Again, not too much big news left for this week, but we did want to mention that right now, if you are not a My Nintendo member, or if you are thinking of extending your Nintendo Switch Online subscription, if you do so by May 10th, you will get gold points. This is a new promotion that Nintendo is unveiling. These are valued at 10% of the cost of the subscription and will be added to your total. It includes both individual subscriptions and family subscriptions. You don't normally get these gold points. So again, if you're thinking of re-upping or whatever, that's 20 gold points for the individual and 34 gold points for the, or just a little over, I guess, with tax for the other. And guys, that'll get you a whopping 20 or 34 cents off a title in the eShop. Woo!
Well, no, it'd be $3.50 because 10% of 35.
Sorry, $3.50. Oh yeah, so you get $2 or $3.50.
Hey,
do you guys remember? Do you guys remember when the discounts with the Wii U were a thing?
If you bought
the Wii U within the first, those were nice. Remember when?
I think I redeemed 20 of those things.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
So I do have to say the gold points value at that point is better than what we were getting before.
Was it?
Are you talking about? Sorry, I thought you were talking about something else. I thought you were talking about the new birthday stuff.
No. I was talking about when you got the Wii U, and if you bought within like the first 2 years, you got a discount on everything.
Yes.
eShop related.
I remember that. Sorry.
I think it was more than 10%. It
was like 20 or 25.
I think it was like 20, because I remember when they announced it was 10% for gold points. Now
it's been a while.
I'm like, oh, that sounds disappointing compared to what we used to get.
Yeah. A couple other things. Nintendo announced this week that they will release their fiscal year end numbers on May 6th. That's a week later than usual. As Jesse has put in the chat or put in our notes, you now know what we'll be talking about on episode 325 in just 7 weeks. So just around the horn here, Switch sales numbers in fiscal year end numbers. Tim, your guess.
1.
It's not lowest without going over.
If you're going to play the Price is Right rules, you're supposed to say that last.
I'm not just like, let me clarify. I'm not talking about how many they sold in the last year. Where do you think we will be like overall sales wise for the Nintendo Switch family?
I can't even think about that right now. My mind is not even near where it's over 100 million.
To you.
Over 100 million.
100 million, Jesse.
I don't think it'll be that high yet. I think we're probably looking at 86.
86?
Wasn't it 80 just or close to 80 with the last, at the end of the year one?
I'm looking it up right now.
These are non-peak sales now.
Yeah. I want to add here, as we're talking about this didn't make it into our notes, but I thought it was interesting. Bloomberg analysts predicted this week that the Nintendo Switch has peaked. They believe that 2020 was peak year for the Nintendo Switch. However, other like software developers and others believe that it will continue to grow. You put any stock into that some analysts from Bloomberg say, hey.
How can you predict that with the year we had in 2020?
Yeah, with 2020, I don't think anything.
That's going to be an outlier.
Everything, yeah.
I
just looked at the December 31st numbers, and they were almost 80 million.
Yeah,
and it had a 11.5 million sell through in the last 3 months. So obviously, I don't think it'd be that high, but because that's holiday sales. So I'm thinking about 6 million. So 5 to 6 million.
So 86 million. Is that what you're saying?
That's my guess.
I will say 90 million.
100 million. I'm sticking with it.
Okay, so we got 86, 90, and 100, and then Justin will come in on that show and be like, "Well, let me tell you guys why you're wrong here."
He's going to say
while I'm speaking on my brand new, I've got these new Arctis 8P headphones, and sure, look it. Here's why you're wrong about all the sales numbers. Business Justin. Back to you guys.
Apex.
You should have said that. Oh, you guys, hey, we're going to play some Apex Legends. I love you, Justin. I know you're going to listen to this, and I practiced that all day. Here's a couple other hot items. Among Us is getting an update on March 31st. It will release a brand new map, the Airship. This is highly anticipated, according to my 13-year-old son. Who is every time Among Us updates, he's like, maybe it's the Airship map. And there you go. So that's coming out March 31st. Among Us is still a ton of fun. And they just added, I didn't know if you guys have seen this, the quick chat feature.
I saw a bit about it, but I haven't played the game to
And
test it
basically,
out.
what it does, it allows you to very quickly respond with something like you can
Yellow
accuse
is
a
sus.
color. Yeah, you can accuse a color, or you can, say it wasn't me or something like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, now that you mention it, Marty, this Saturday we are playing Among Us, so in our Discord and the
Okay.
community game night, and with the either in the UK side because we have a UK time for them, and then we also have our North American side as well.
So that is March 20th.
Correct.
We will be playing Among Us, both UK and so over on one side of the pond and on the other.
That's correct.
And now
That's
there's
right.
a 5-hour difference because of daylight savings time here,
So-
but not there yet. Which
But
makes
no
it a
matter
little more
where
confusing.
no matter where you are in the world, you can play. So
Right.
it's because it'll be in
Pick
the
a time.
afternoon. It's in the afternoon and in the evening. So
I love it.
whatever
So
point you
cool.
can make it in.
Uh,
It's on
one,
our calendar too. So if you ever want to look us up on your Google Calendar, you can add us there, and you'll get all our stuff on the Google Calendar.
Yes. One last little announcement here. Octopath Traveler is coming to Xbox Game Pass. What do you guys think about that?
I thought it was interesting that it's not available on xCloud. Excuse me, on it is xCloud. So it is on the you can get it on the console and the PC, but you can't do it on xCloud.
That is weird.
Well, here's the deal.
The game's too technically superior. You can't do it in cloud.
Or
so
not to
beautiful.
compete with the Switch.
Too many teraflops for the for xCloud. If you've wanted to play it lately, you've had every opportunity because it was $10 at a lot of Walmarts over the last little bit. They're clearing it out. So if you want Octopath, there you go. However, I was looking because I thought, well, if it's that, maybe it's on sale on the eShop because I thought, I owned it at one time. I don't know. I've just had this hankering lately for a JRPG. And I thought I'll either get that or Dragon Quest XI. And I go
I
look at
recommend the latter.
I know. I'm probably what I'm going for. So I went and I was like, maybe Octopath's finally down. Nope, it's $60 on the eShop.
Well, that's what I paid for it and didn't play it.
Yeah, skip the digital. Go straight for that sweet Walmart.
There's a Wayfarer
$10
edition
version.
for $100.
Well,
that's
guys,
digital. That's physical only, apparently.
That's our news. Tim has us a great discussion topic, so let's discuss, shall we? Tim, I'm going to let you take over on this one.
Sure.
This is your topic, your baby. Go ahead and throw it out there, and let's see what we can dig up here.
Sure. So I thought of this last week, but we had so much on last week's show, we just pushed it to this week. So basically, I was thinking of the time when actually I felt like this, and I wanted to bring it up to you guys. Does Nintendo grow with gamers, or do gamers outgrow Nintendo? So, and I was thinking maybe this is why so many people are angry on the internet. They want Nintendo to grow with them, like they're grow as they get older and play different games and try out different things, and they expect things, and they are playing them in other areas, and they're hoping to find them on Nintendo. When Nintendo doesn't provide it, does that mean the gamer is outgrowing Nintendo? And so does Nintendo change with them? But Nintendo is always about being accessible and fun for everyone. So, which means they no longer the longer we're fans of Nintendo, the more it is likely we will be disappointed. So, and I hope that kind of makes sense. But essentially, I was looking for those type of things where, when you're getting older as a gamer or more experienced as a gamer, when you're playing more and more games, do you outgrow Nintendo?
I think a little bit of both. But Nintendo is in general not growing with their audience. Mainly to keep the family friendly thing going on. Which is why we're seeing this. We talked about it with Square, with Activision, with EA. Those generally are, but Nintendo's been putting out games now for over 40 years, including arcades. So you potentially could having the start of a third generation of people playing Nintendo games. And I remember people having this same discussion about 20 years ago. When in 1981 I was 7 years old. So this is now I'm still sub 30, and a lot of people I knew weren't into Nintendo anymore. They wanted to go toward the PlayStation and
Right.
and the starting of the Xbox, but I know a lot of these people have eventually come back. Nostalgia is part of it. Part of it is they weren't interested in the Wii U, and the Switch is a new shiny. And so it's kind of a sine wave of it depends on
Yes.
how old you are, when you started playing.
Right. And what do you think, Marty? And anybody else in the chat too? Feel free to
For me, I've never outgrown Nintendo,
Okay.
and I think it's because, personally, for me, I said this earlier. Um, like I watched the announcement of Forspoken, or just that from the Square Enix presentation earlier, because I saw a lot of people that I follow on Twitter like praising it. Like, oh man, this looks so awesome, looks so great. I can't wait to play it. Man, I'm so sad it's locked to PlayStation for 2 years. I'll wait for it to come out on Xbox. I watched the trailer for it, and just to be honest, I was really unimpressed because it looks like every other open world game that has come out in the last 5 to 10 years. Like, you're running around, pretty bleak color, pretty bland color palette. There's some running, there's some diving, there's some jumping. I'm sure there's a progressive skill tree. I bet you, I would wager to bet there's crafting in it too. Like
Right,
you're
yeah.
going to put two items together and make a new item. And I found
your
myself
weapon breaks.
saying when, like, I found myself saying lately about that the two gaming bubbles that I hope pop next are open world games and crafting. I'm tired of it. Like every game has crafting now. Like, and I'll tell you when I said this was the other day when I installed the new update for Fortnite, and I was like, crafting?
Yeah.
Really? Crap.
I was gonna say, you mean like Fortnite?
Yeah, like I get that, like it started with Minecraft and it was cool and it was new, and every place now wanted, like every game dev was like, how can we integrate crafting into our, and in some games it works, and in
Right.
some games it doesn't. And like here's a great example. That's one of my big gripes with Marvel's Avengers, for the Square Enix version, is there's so many systems at work, like installing gear, leveling up gear, buying stuff to level up your level ups, and you're selling this and finding this and going and doing.
And of course,
the loot,
everything's microtransactions.
and everything's microtransactions, and everything's about the loot, and it gets old after a while. And for me, like I don't
Not fun
play.
anymore.
It's not fun anymore, and I don't play games. I think I've said this on the show before, and I'll stand by it.
Yeah.
I don't play video games to play things that look like the world I'm living in right now. I don't want that. Video games are an escape for me. So I gravitate toward brightly colored, fun, and maybe, like, I'm sorry, maybe we won't get, like, I think that one of the reasons that people leave Nintendo is, and follow me on this, I think one of the reasons people leave is lack of lore. Like
I can see that.
Nintendo has these big gaps in all of their IP. Like What happened when? Between Metroid, between Metroid 2, between Metroid 3. They give you snippets, but they never give you a full story. And like we've had this story that's been hanging since Metroid Fusion that they refuse to finish.
Yeah.
Mario, you're not going to get lore. There's a giant turtle. He wants to marry a human princess. There's a human plumber who punches him in the face about once a year and fixes everything. Like,
well, it's not just Nintendo. Capcom's left Mega Man up in the moon since how long?
Yeah. I mean, there's all these there, and it's not. But I think that Nintendo has such beloved franchises that when they don't fill in that stuff, it drives people to go, well, I don't care anymore. Zelda is a huge. Where I think Nintendo could keep people. And this is all I'm going to say about the whole topic. Okay, that's why I'm talking so long.
It's okay.
Where I think Nintendo could keep people is looking at a way. How can we make Zelda mature, whatever that means, right? How can we
tattoos on a motorbike and leather jacket?
How can we grow Link with his fans that are now older, but how can we also introduce people? Like, how can we branch this out? How can we make Mario mature? Like, and I don't know that you could do that. How can we, like, Metroid? Are we gonna make Metroid a franchise that kids care about, or are we really gonna go all in on the like survival horror, isolationist thing and make a great mature game for adults, like that's going to rock people's world? So I think that maybe a parceling out of IP as to which could be for older gamers who like the blood and the guts and the gritty and the sex and all that, and Mario and Animal Crossing and Kirby.
Think Nintendo needs to spread things out. They can't go one way or the other. Again, everyone's not going to like everything. We know that. We accept that. The people out on the internet don't. They think if it's not for me, it's garbage. But it's not.
Right.
But I like comment from Miz says for some reason people think Nintendo's cartoony look means it's for kids, and the first thing I thought of was Wind Waker. And while history has proven Wind Waker holds up because of the art style. But I understand, I just recently kind of rewatched E3 2001 when they announced the GameCube. And they showed a pre-rendered scene of a realistic-ish Link fighting a realistic Ganondorf. And everyone was excited and thinking that was the next game, and then here comes Wind Waker. So I can understand why people are upset. But again,
I think people. I'm going to make a bold statement here, and I'm going to shut my mouth before I get in trouble. I think people grow out of Nintendo because there is part of them that has lost joy.
I'm okay with this.
That's funny.
I really have a hard time with people who like are so hard that they're like, I can't enjoy Mario anymore. Mario sucks. That's for babies.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Really? Have you played Champions Road on Mario 3D World? Because that's not for babies. That's not for Marty.
Have you played Donkey Kong?
I can't beat that level. I can't do it. And it pisses me off. Because seriously, that is my number one gaming right now is I can't beat that level. I can't do it. I couldn't do it on the Wii U. I can't do it on the freaking Switch. And the thing is now I realize 40 years old, I'm getting worse at games.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not getting better. Chances are that level
it's not as much you're getting worse at games. You have less patience. At least,
maybe that's true.
That's definitely what it is for me.
Maybe that's true.
Anyway. I think it also comes down to the progression of the gamer, right? I was talking about experience or age or whatever you want to call it, where there's a certain progression. And I went through that progression. And I think it alludes to what Jesse was talking about too, which is it can be both. You can you can outgrow Nintendo, but you can come back. So, and that's what happened to me is I felt like I was outgrowing Nintendo because that's all I played for a long time was Nintendo. And then when I started dabbling in with the PlayStation stuff, that's when my eyes started getting a little bit more open, and I enjoyed it. And then especially when I started playing more and more back into more games and started playing the PS3 and the Vita, I was like, why isn't Nintendo doing stuff like this? And I was getting bored with the Wii and the 3DS and all that stuff. And I don't think the Wii U was out yet. In fact, I even wrote, because I was dabbling with the blog stuff at the time, I even wrote a blog about my disappointment with Nintendo and how they needed to innovate. This was before the Wii U and the Switch, you know. So
Shame.
I loved the God of War games on the PSP, and then later on the PS3 when I got God of War 3 and all that kind of stuff on the PlayStation 3. So I was just like, I want more games like this on the Nintendo. I want Nintendo games, but I also want older games as well for me to dive into a story and all that kind of stuff. And I wasn't getting that on the Nintendo console. At least I felt like I wasn't. And that's also because at that time too, I didn't have really the money to be able. I was lucky, let's say, to be able to have both a Nintendo console and a PlayStation console. So it was like, and where I was spending my money on games, I wanted to be able to spend my money on games on one system. And I think that's why a lot of people are like, I want more variety, and they get disappointed in Nintendo. It's still, you know, I think they've gotten a lot better, especially with the Switch. They gotten a lot better with opening up letting the third parties handle the mature rated games and stuff like that. And that's why I've been, you know, I could play the Outer Worlds on my Switch or the other games that I've been playing and get that need fulfilled, and not had to go to my PlayStation 4 much, except for, say, the PlayStation exclusives. So it's kind of flipped back to where now, where I played a lot of games on my PlayStation and only played Nintendo exclusives. Now I'm playing more games on my Nintendo with third parties and only playing PlayStation exclusives.
One of the things that came to mind as you were mentioning that, Tim, is like Nintendo's done a great job with the Switch, especially positioning themselves to get those third-party games that I would say, maybe this is the wrong term to use, are important. You know what I mean? Like Doom, Rocket League, Fortnite, Apex Legends, stuff like that, right? And they're more open than they've ever been. Mortal Kombat 11, 2K, yeah, all that stuff. Yep. Where I think people, I don't know that maybe they age out, but where I think people get frustrated with Nintendo is their inability to keep up with technology. And what I mean by that is like the systems that you have on a PlayStation, or Jesse has by having Xbox and PlayStation, that I have by having a PS5, the party system, the chat, the sharing, online.
Getting rated, Marty. Sorry, we're getting rated by Sean right now.
Oh, cool. What's up, guys?
Hello, everybody.
Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. We were just talking about Xbox. So
yes,
thanks, Sean, for rating the channel. We love you guys. So you understand what I'm saying, though, right? Yes. Like about the. I think people get frustrated. Like, why can't I have what I have on an Xbox, like Xbox Live or Game Pass or whatever? Why can't I have that on Switch? And that makes people look at that and go, well, they don't really care, or they're you know, that's just for babies. They're just focused on families.
I have heard the other argument. You know, someone who has an Xbox wants to play Mario and Zelda, but doesn't want to buy a Nintendo system. Yes. But so they end up resorting to piracy and emulation just to get around paying Nintendo $300.
Yeah,
for a game that they're willing to pay $60 for. But they just didn't want it on a Nintendo. They didn't want to buy Nintendo hardware.
So what you're saying is Nintendo just needs to go third party. Nintendo's doomed. Doomed.
Not what I'm saying. So yeah, multiple people in the chat said I never grew out of Nintendo, and in my case, I could say the same thing. But when I was, you know, first moved out of the house, newly married, broke as hell. I wasn't necessarily out of. I fell out of gaming in general, mainly because I had no time and no money. Especially,
yes.
Especially since when our oldest was born. So we did have an N64. It was a Christmas gift for my mom. Shortly after I got married, and then I did have a DS, which that kind of brought me back into gaming. But that was between 2000 and 2003. I probably did very little gaming. And one of the when I got divorced from my first wife, one of the first things I did is pick up a PS2 and GameCube and start to get more into the gaming again.
Yes.
Because hey, I have more time now.
There's a
funny
gap.
You should say that.
There's a gap in my gaming between like 2007 and 2010. It's not that I didn't game. It's just that I played different games than I had before, because that was when my son was born. Isaac was born in 2007. Annalise was born in 2008. And so for like 4 years there, we were in survival mode, basically. You
were in diapers and formula.
Yeah, and so like I was playing a lot of games that I could jump into and pick up really quick, or didn't have a whole lot of story driven elements. But now that they're older and they're playing games on their own and like not needing to be right up under us all the time, I find myself slowly coming back to, I want a story driven game, right? Like I want something I can sink my teeth into. And I guess like I want that from, I really would love to have that on a Nintendo console, like as a first party experience.
Yeah.
Like give me that. You guys realize that Skyward Sword coming out in July, right? Is it July?
July, yes.
That's the closest that we've ever gotten to like deep Zelda lore. And so like I admire it for that. I think people need to pick it up and play it for that. And
then the whole timeline was basically written around that game.
Yes. Yeah.
Because before that game, the timeline didn't exist.
Like if you want that, like kind of, I know it's kind of a cartoony-esque look, but if you want that, like the Zelda storyline, then go for that.
Yeah.
I know Metroid Prime 3 had some Metroid lore there, and it kind of deepened the story and pushed things forward more so than we'd seen at all. People tried that in the Wii U era, right? I mean, if you think about it, Mario Galaxy had story that was buried under that, with going to the library and hearing about Rosalina. And,
well, he basically literally went behind Miyamoto's back, who was against it. And I love that story. That's a fun story.
Again, like, I don't understand why they don't embrace that. Like, you have a legion of people who want that whole, like, complete the picture. And
I think since Miyamoto's getting more hands off, I think we'll start seeing more. Just like, Bowser's Fury didn't have a lot of story, but it had enough in it to keep you interested.
Yes.
It actually, it wasn't Breath of the Wild nothing, and everything was spoon-fed to you in memories, but at least there was enough there to get you started, and there was things you can pick up along the way. I think that's a good way to do it.
So I found the actual blog that I wrote. What was the date of this? I don't even know what the date is. So I won't read the whole thing. It's pretty long and I don't write very well. So, but I'll read one of the paragraphs that I think is very interesting. So it says, I eventually got a PS2 and a PSP, and now I have a PS3 and a PS Vita. I no longer play the Wii by myself. Get your mind out of the gutter. And hardly play my 3DS. I found myself getting bored with the Nintendo formula. I have been disappointed in Nintendo's strategy since their success with the Wii. Not even the new Nintendo Wii U holds my interest for me. Other than replacing the Wii for my kids, they love that thing. So what does that mean? As of right now, Sony and the PlayStation brand is winning my personal fanboy fight. Does that mean I no longer am a Nintendo fanboy? Yes. However, Nintendo has a chance to win again, especially if they come out with a killer Metroid game for either system or finally decide to link the 3DS with the Wii U.
Yeah,
none of that they did, happened. Actually. Well, they did do the 3DS link with the Smash game, right?
At the game
as a
level.
controller.
I would have expected more of something along the
More
lines
like
of
the GameCube than
and
GBA. Yeah.
something at more of the hardware level.
And then I wrote, or have I outgrown Nintendo? Maybe time will tell. Well, I didn't outgrow it.
So this was written in 2013-ish, 2012-ish.
2012, November 2012 was published.
So right at the Wii U launch.
Yes. Yep. So that was my thoughts around it. I right before that I wrote a whole big thing of my history with Nintendo and PlayStation. It was just like, again, I'm not known for. I think I mentioned something about the what was it, the Aoya
Ouya?
Ouya.
the Ouya, yeah. So anyways, yeah, I just thought that was interesting, and I came back to it because I also can see it on the internet. A lot of people saying, "Why isn't Nintendo doing this?" Especially Twitter and stuff. Why aren't they doing that? And I just find it fascinating to see some people kind of going through those same stages I did. I feel of and then I think Ms. brought up a good point too. Is nowadays people try to be have a second console to cover the things that the other console doesn't cover. So, which I think I've learned over time too, is that you're not going to get everything on the one console. You're going to miss out on something. Heck, even on the third console now. I'm, because I don't have an Xbox. I'm not going to be able to get it. Which is the reason why I
got the Xbox. I planned on that as being my tertiary system to mainly because of Game Pass, so I can get some of those smaller indie games that I'm like, I don't think I want to spend $20 on it on the Switch, but yeah, I'll pay $0 for it if it comes out here. That was the main goal with me getting Xbox for the first time.
Thanks for the discussion, guys. That was what I wanted to talk about.
Tim, awesome topic, and we would love to hear your thoughts on that. Do you feel like you have aged out of Nintendo, or do you feel like they've gone on without you? Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us in our email us, nintendodads@gmail.com. You can talk about it in the Discord. I think this is a fantastic topic. Would love to continue to explore it with our community. Let's talk about what we've been playing, shall we? Jesse, we're going to start with you this week, buddy. What have you been playing?
Okay, I've got some non-Nintendo stuff I want to talk about first. Starting with an update on the Baby Pac-Man restoration.
Okay.
And I know
I'm interested in this.
Yeah, more people than I thought are interested in this story, which is why I just will keep bringing it up when there's news. So I had some the tech that came out last month to do the initial diagnostic on it came out and did like a really thorough cleaning of the table, replaced the bulbs, replaced the bumpers, replaced the monitor that I bought, so that you can actually see things now. So the table looks really nice. It's really bright. It's where before it was kind of the lights just showed the dirt and the dust that was collected on it, but now it looks really sharp. We found out that still about 3/4 of the lights on the table won't power up. So he says if it was only 1 or 2 lights, I would think it's a problem with the board, with the wiring between the board and the bulb. But since there's so many, I think it's probably a problem with the board. Which now we're talking more costs here. So there's basically three motherboards on this system. One's called the Vidiot board, which runs like the arcade style portion. And this is only like two machines that use that board. So it's a hard to find board. If you find one, it'll be expensive. We're talking like $500 or $600, and because they just don't make them anymore, and they haven't made them since '83-ish. So the ones that are out there are either on their last leg already, or just not.
Oh, it's just a few years ago. Not that long ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so far mine seems to be fine, so that's not the problem there. The second board, which also has only been used for 2 games, is what powers the lights on the table, among other functions in the board. So that's the one that's an issue. I put in the serial, the board part number in the website, and I found out that there's a company in Europe not sure what country, maybe Germany. I just know it's not UK because of the currency that they charge in. Makes new boards with the old specs. So I'm like, oh, that sounds promising. And they say it works with Baby Pac-Man and that other machine. I forget what the other machine was. So I ordered it and learned something new. So the original price was €200. And I'm like, okay, let's see if they'll ship worldwide. And they do. I tell them where I live. And they says, oh, okay, shipping is €25. I'm fine with that. And because it's now not being shipped to a European customer, I don't have to pay for VAT. So the price actually went down. So I paid a total of €190, or about $230 for this part. So I'm like, okay, I don't have to pay VAT. I'm okay with this. So I don't know. I don't know when it'll get here, but I have that part ordered. I have another
That's the tricky part.
Yeah, another part that's a replacement chip to hold the high score data. That's the current one in there relies on batteries to maintain power during power off, and I'm surprised that it still even works, because it's like 3 AA batteries that are soldered in.
Oh wow!
So he says we can just literally snip out the batteries, replace that chip with the new chip that has it does the same function, but will maintain the high score data in a powered off state, so you don't need batteries anymore. So
nice.
That was just a $15 part.
I thought that was a pretty cool thing to upgrade the board with newer tech to do that. When I read that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So
I'm promising you that one day I'm going to come to your house, eat barbecue, and play Baby Pac-Man when it's done.
Sounds like a deal.
I don't know. I have this insane need to play this game. The more I look at it, the more you talk about it. I got to try it. It's a piece of history. I think that's what it is.
It is. Yeah, it's a not only a rare game in itself, but I don't know how many other pinball arcade hybrids there are. So it's just a unique experience.
It's a very complex machine too,
and you can't emulate it.
Right.
Not unless you have both an arcade emulator and the pinball emulator. Yeah, things like that exists, but I don't know. I know of them as two separate entities. I don't know if they work together.
Wouldn't even begin to know how to do that.
Right.
Right. So my plan is the next time when those parts come in, the guy will come back again and do that final repair. Hopefully everything's all works and all the lights on the table start working, and I plan on doing a gameplay video. I'll set up some cameras of what's on the monitor and what's on the table and cut together some gameplay.
Yeah, I need to see
DadCon at Jesse's house.
Yep. That's what it's going to be. DadCon Baby Pac-Man tournament.
with the working high score list.
Yes.
Love it. Yes.
Okay, apparently Justin hopped on and said Picross, which, funny thing is, a new Picross game landed on the eShop today. I bought it, haven't played it yet.
No, it did not.
It did.
So what is this Picross?
Yeah, I'll have to look it up real quick, but it's because I wasn't ready to talk about it. Hatsumi Miku Logic Paint S.
Bless you.
Which is was a mobile game in Japan. And
I love
the consoles. And the funny story on this, normally Nintendo has the games in the eShop ready to go and searchable before launches on Thursdays, and you can see them in the now coming section or coming soon section. I saw an article last night that this game launched in Japan and Australia. I looked in the North American eShop, didn't exist. So I'm like, I wonder if this is a game that either won't be coming or will be coming late. So just to kind of cover my butt, I went and bought the Japanese version because it did have English text because it was available in Australia. So went through that process to buy it, downloaded it, and then woke up this morning. Oh yeah, it came out in North America. So So I'll be talking about that next week.
Of course it did.
Okay, and then the other. See, where am I? One more Nintendo game I want to talk about. There's been a lot of talk about Loop Hero. Have you heard of this game?
Yes.
This might be a game you'd like because it is roguish, like-ish. But I picked it up. I think it was $15 on Steam, so relatively cheap. It not what I was thinking it was based on how everyone was talking about it. It was more roguelike than RPG, and everyone else seemed to think it was more RPG-ish. But so I haven't beaten the first area yet. Much like that last game that you bought, and I tried the demo and I couldn't beat that level either. So I'll probably give that a few more tries. Basically, the premise of this game, for those who don't know, is you awaken to a world of nothing, and all you see is this path you'll continually walk around. You have a campfire on one of the parts of the path that you can stop and set up camp for the night, and then you're basically building this new community as you find other people, or other people find you as you level up. So, and it's a card-based system. It's like you'll start walking around and you'll see, say, a skeleton. And all the walking and all the combat's automatic. You can't control anything. All you can control is you can pause the game so you can manage your resources. But other than that, it plays itself. So, say you beat this first skeleton, it'll drop a better sword and some armor, so you'll equip it. So next time you find an enemy, you'll kill it faster. So the next time it may drop cards that are environment, which, it's like you remembering that these places exist. So you can put a mountain here, a meadow here, parts, some of them are placed on the road, some of them are placed off of the road or adjacent to it. They all have different abilities. Like, the more meadows on the board, the more hit points you'll regen at the start of a new day. And you can put a vampire castle adjacent to the road, so vampires will spawn on the road near it that you'll then have to attack. So if you have to balance yourselves between having enough resources that you can collect to improve your community, because all these cards will give you resources as well, in addition to spawning enemies. But if you spawn so many enemies and you're going to fail, then if you die, you'll still keep like 30% of what you collected. But ultimately, you want to not do that.
Now I want to play this game.
I thought you might like this. And again, the loop is continuous, and so you'll be able to get back to your campfire once a loop, and you can stop at any time and save 100% of your materials, which then you got to start everything over with nothing, no equipment, no nothing the next time around. So
this is not for Switch.
This is not for Switch. This is PC only. Definitely can play, would run on the Switch, but right now there are no console versions. So the game almost looks like 8-bit, 16-bit graphics. So
I'm sold. It sounds like a roguelike video board game.
Yes, that's kind of with cards. A lot of people like the card games. So
there you go.
Now
Jesse's all over that.
Now I want a game that I can't have. Thank you. Perfect.
Did you say you got it on Steam?
I got it on Steam. I'll check after the show if there's a Mac version.
What? Can get Steam runs well.
Well, yeah, Steam runs on Mac, but doesn't mean the game will run on Mac.
Sure.
But I'll check that later.
Okay. So that's what you've been playing. Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, that's what he's been playing Nintendo-wise.
So I have 2 more games. These will go quicker. These are on. I am playing these on Switch. Persona 5 Strikers finished about 52 hours in, and then once you roll credits, you're able to reload your save state, and you get additional missions that you can get to, like, unlock additional persona and additional better gear, and just to make the end game a little bit better. So I'm like, I think I'll try to 100% the compendium, or the persona dex, if you want to use that term. And so it got to the last one that I needed to be level 80. And the grinding really wasn't difficult because the additional missions required you to beat all of a stronger version of all the previous bosses, which gives you a crap ton XP anyway. So
Okay.
I didn't think I needed to do any grinding. So I got to level 80, and at that point it says you have now unlocked New Game Plus. If you start a New Game Plus, you get to keep all the items, all your levels, all your equipment, or most of the items. Some of the items are story based, so you don't get those. But basically, you get to keep the entire compendium. You get to keep all your money. So you basically starting over with almost the best weapons in the game, best armor in the game. You're already level 80. You already have 3 million yen, and you have access to every persona that you previously had. So you can just play again and wreck house. And it does add. It also unlocks a harder difficulty if you wanted to do that. I still played on easy because there's definitely a skill difference required between easy and normal. And since I'm not an action game player, normal was too much for me. I had to drop it down to easy. So,
Interesting.
But during New Game Plus does unlock the last persona that you have to be level 90 for. But again, you're already starting at level 80. So by the time you get to the end of the game, you're going to be 90, if not 99, max level. Mech is asking any secret boxes? I don't think so. All the non-level bosses are kind of spoon-fed to you as in the missions. So I don't think there's anything that's secret or hidden. But
That's cool.
So I don't know.
So lots of... Go ahead.
I'm not sure if I want to play the entire New Game Plus again, because it's a 50-hour game.
Yeah.
But I did start one, and got to the point where I'm ready to go into the first dungeon for the second time. Kind of at the point where, when I first played and streamed it for 2 hours, at the place I stopped that is where I stopped now during New Game Plus.
Okay. So lots of replay value?
Yeah, it's got replay value, and that's normal for Persona. So nothing there I haven't already seen before.
Okay.
And then the last game, I picked up Cyanide and Happiness Freakpocalypse. Freakpocalypse. There it is. That's a weird word to say. It released last week, and I'm liking the game. If you're a fan of their comic and videos and humor, you're gonna like it. In fact, I just shared a video from their YouTube channel 7 years ago about a couple going to a restaurant. I'm not going to spoil the punchline because it's not kid friendly. It's not family friendly. But the gist of this restaurant is there is no menu. They telepathically read your mind and know what your deepest, darkest desire is, and that's what they prepare and serve you.
Interesting.
So the joke they pull off in this video, they pull off the same joke in this game. It's
Gotcha.
it's not a kid game. Don't play it in front of kids. It's very vulgar. But if you like that humor, you're gonna love the game.
Yep.
There is
definitely a Dad's After Dark. Game.
There is something to watch out for. I got there about the 4 or 5 hour mark, where you start off in the school, and it takes a while for you to get out of the school into the city. And there's a part where you go into a convenience store, and if you pick up a particular item and leave without paying for it, the game soft locked on me.
Ooh.
And at the time it did that, I hadn't saved all day. I played 3 hours that I had to replay. And it's a point and click adventure type of game. So there's a ton of things on there that you look at, you touch at, and you talk at. And even there's the character even comments, "Why am I talking and touching everything?" But it's got like unlockable costumes, hats, face effects, and shirts. So I had to literally go through and talk to everything again just to make sure I picked up everything. So I was able to get. I remember to save very often, especially before I got to that convenience store, and I was able to do what I needed to do without it soft locking. So that's so far the only thing to watch out for. So save before you go into the Circle J or whatever they call it.
Nice.
Oh my, that's really its name.
That's the name.
Tim, what have you been playing before we get too in the weeds here?
Sure. I've been playing kind of just familiar games. I haven't been able to dive into anything too much new, except for the last game. But I've been trying to get the 150,000 points for the Happy Home Academy in Animal Crossing. Just for whatever reason, I just can't get enough things to put in my house to try to get that, to reach that goal, without tearing my rooms apart and trying to rebuild or whatever. Because I like what I have in my house. So I've been just trying to add little things here and there on where I can, where I have space for it to try to get those points. But Animal Crossing is a good thing. Just jump in and kind of, blow some steam off, I guess. Another game I been playing and I can't stop thinking about when I'm not playing it is the Outer Worlds. For whatever reason, this game, ever since I jumped back into it, in the DLC, the Parallel Gorgon, it's just I keep thinking about it while I'm working, and I have a moment and taking a break or whatever. I'm thinking, man, I can't wait to jump back into that game. I haven't been able to jump in it as much as I'd like to, but definitely having a lot of fun with it. The story and just the exploration and the first person. It kind of has probably nowhere near close to Metroid Prime, but I'm having as much fun with it as I did with Metroid Prime. I'll say that. This is being first person, getting through some story beats. And the other thing I like about it is being able to add party members as well that help you get through whatever you're fighting, which has been a lot of fun. So I've been having fun with that. But the newer game I've been playing is, of course, Fortnite Chapter 2, Season 6. I jumped into that just for a little bit. I didn't do too much in the last season other than get the Snake Eyes skin at that time. I didn't buy a battle pass, but this time I did, and I'm happy I jumped in when I did too, because I was able to get the Kratos and Master Chief skins that I missed out during last season. I thought for sure I missed out on them totally, and then when I saw that in the store, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got to get these!" because I was, like I said, I wanted them so bad, and I took it for granted when they were available during the season, and didn't realize they were a limited time availability. The what is it, 24 hours or something like that they were available. I figured when I heard they were available, I could jump in and grab them, and I just missed out on them. But thankfully I got them, and happy to jump in and play it. And I got a few rounds in and dabbled a little bit with the crafting that we were just talking about a little bit there. I'm not digging that too much, but I have to play with it some more. I got to play with it some more because like I said, I only did a few rounds. So but that's what I've been playing. Just basically those three things.
Awesome. So I want to just jump in on that Fortnite discussion and say I think this season's brilliant. I do have to say that when I first loaded it up, and I didn't do any spoilers, like I didn't look for any spoilers. I didn't allow myself to look at anything Fortnite related before I loaded it up and did the in-game event. And then it popped up and it was like, what the crap, like crafting. And I was like, there's no way this is going to work. But I dropped into my first game, and within like the first 3 or 4 games, I was like, okay, I got this.
Yeah.
And by that came out Tuesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, I was already level 16. So
that's not a shocker.
Like I've already gotten like 3 or 4 wins. I am loving this season. I'm loving what it's done to the map. Yeah. I love the different classes of weapons now that you can use, and I'm definitely a primal weapon all the way guy. Especially when I found out that the primal shotgun, once you get that, it's basically an automatic shotgun when you hold down the trigger and it just
Oh,
keep
nice.
shooting. Oh my gosh, so good. The battle pass characters are super cool. Laura Croft is in.
Yes.
Raven from Teen Titans and Cluck. Cluck is going to be my boy. All right, big
What's
giant.
Cluck?
It's
It's a
like a
giant.
big.
Yeah,
It's
go
like a
ahead.
chick that's gotten stuck in hatching, and it's got like an adult-sized body, but little spindly arms and legs, and it has like its eyes are just dots,
Yeah.
and
It's so stupid funny.
it is, and it
That
just
sounds
looks
ridiculous.
great. Um,
Exactly.
It's like
I
it's like a giant-sized Ditto that's partially turned into a Togepi.
yeah. So like I just love the way this game continues to reinvent itself.
Yes.
And kind of talk about, like, to borrow the idea that I had before, I've also been playing Apex Legends. And I have come to the conclusion, and this may ruffle some feathers. I spent $40, however much it was, on the Champions pack for Apex Legends. I don't like it. I just I don't like it. Like, I want to like it. I drop in and I know what I'm supposed to do. I want to like the game. Like, I want to be good at the game, but I number one, I suck at it. It's terrible. Or not. It's terrible. It's a fine game. I'm just terrible at it. But like the other day when I picked up Fortnite, I hadn't played Fortnite in like 2 weeks because I level 100 the battle pass last. I got Grogu. I got the Mandalorian armor. I was like, I'm done. All
Right.
right. I'm gonna take a break and play some other things. Picking Fortnite up, even with the new season, even with the new stuff in, it was like riding a bike.
Right.
Boom, I'm back. Apex still feels very foreign to me and very, um, you know, whatever.
Yeah. I
So,
get it.
like, I'm going to give it some more time, but if you gave me a choice and said pick one and play that, I'm going to pick Fortnite.
Right.
And that's probably where I'm going to stay. I've invested a lot of time and money and effort into it. I haven't bought the Apex Battle Pass yet. I bought the Champions Pack. I don't really know that I'll spend more money on that game. I know that it's a lot of people's jam, and I am not yucking on your yum,
Yeah.
okay? But like, it doesn't click for me.
No, I'm with you,
So
Marty. I'm having a tough time with it too because I don't know if it's the speed of it that's giving me a tough time compared to Fortnite. Because when I jump back into Fortnite, I did a lot better, or if it's just familiarity type of thing. But I'm gonna play through the Apex season. I bought the Battle Pass, so for Apex, I'm gonna play through that, play through it more, try to get used to it. I'm gonna try to play with the cross-platform off, which I heard you should be trying to do. But I also heard it's harder to get players to play
yeah,
when you turn that off. So I'll dabble with that when I have some time. But I'm like you, it's not. What is that? It's not giving me the endorphins that I need to be able to feel like I need to
there's
go
no
back.
dopamine hits.
The dopamine,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So dopamine, it's not giving me those dopamine hits to make me want to jump into that game first. What has been Fortnite, Outer Worlds, Animal Crossing, those games. It's like I'll jump into those first, and then it's like, okay, I got those, I got my feel for those, and then maybe I'll jump into Apex. But I spent the money for Apex, so I'm gonna play through the season, see if I get any better, or maybe I'm not getting good at it and I suck at it, but I'm gonna play at the games I'm having fun with. So we'll
yeah,
see.
yeah. I totally agree. And I want to throw over, we got a couple of questions about Apex this week. I think right now it might be a great time to answer those. Nick Metzger, over from the Dad Crossing podcast, he asked us this. As a guy who was interested to jump into a first-person online shooter for some fun with friends, I'm saddened by Apex's lack of support on Switch. Unless I turn on cross-platform play, I haven't been able to get into a match the last 2 nights. I really would rather play Switch only, as that puts everyone on the same competitive field, field of view, texture issues. Do you think it's going to get better? And then Solo Something, who is in our Discord and a fan of the show, he says, despite me being more of a Fortnite person, I want competition, as competition is a great heel spur to innovation, and hope Apex has not seen its apex on Switch when sampling a bunch of random Twitch streams.
Yep.
And then he says, since Apex and Fortnite both cause login problems for some, if your Switch clock is not synced to local time zone, it got me thinking, do you think Nintendo will ever release an update with a new code that ends TT? And if so, would you suspect that this would cut in half the active player base?
I'm presuming he's meaning time travel. But
I think you're right. So let me jump in and give you kind of what I think here. Nick, for the most part, every time that I've played Apex, and I have not turned cross-platform play off, but every time that I've played Apex, at least one, if not two, of my teammates have had the Nintendo Switch icon next to their name.
Yeah.
So maybe you're just playing during an off time.
And I don't know if a lot of people know to turn that off and think of that too. So
Yeah.
it might be everybody's playing with the cross-platform on. It is on by default, yes.
Yeah. And so, like, I guess what I'm saying is I'm seeing Switch players. I'm seeing a good number of them. Now, have I gotten into like games where I see like the PC icon or the other console icon? Yes.
Yes.
But I've consistently seen Switch players. I don't know that that's going to get better, because I think what will happen is I think the player base might just get better, and hopefully it'll all kind of congeal together into some tasty Apex fruit salad type thing.
One thing too, real quick too, is on the 3rd, April 3rd is another one of our gaming community nights, and we're actually going to be focusing on Apex that weekend, that Saturday.
So there you
go.
So
we're going to, if a bunch of us try to get on there and play in Switch only mode or whatever it is, turn off the cross platform, just be Switch only, maybe we'll be able to play.
To add fuel to the other side, I did accidentally turn off cross-platform play at one time, and it did chug a little bit finding the game.
Of course it did.
Eventually, I had to turn it back on. So
okay, of course.
But do I think Nintendo will ever release an update with a new code that ends time travel? No, because that's an intrinsic functionality of the Switch to be able to set your own time. Time zones. Some people don't have the internet connected to their Switch, automatically updating it. So I can't see them taking that feature out.
There'll just be certain things that will probably happen in the game, like in Animal Crossing. If you got turnips out and you time travel, speaking from experience,
I was going to bring that up.
They will get rotten if you try to time travel. But I noticed
dirty cheaters.
Yeah.
Time crimes.
Yep. And that was all that was all by accident. I found that out.
As Nick says, the Switch has the FOV, the field of view locked, which is variable on other systems, so they're able to see what's further beyond the horizon than people on Switch can. So there definitely is a distinct advantage to playing on a different system other than the Switch, which is why if it was an even more even playing field, that'd be something else. But that does hinder things.
Yep. And that's another thing too, is I want to try to play Apex on a like here at my desk. I want to try because I think I could do a lot better, because I noticed when I'm playing in handheld, like you said, the field of view is a little bit harder to see, trying to see people far away and try to pick them off or try to shoot people. And
I was talking to
and a lot of noise in the screen.
And how he felt, and he was like, I played it handheld one time and I'm done.
Yeah.
It's a docked only, and I agree with him there.
Yeah.
Which
so
is
I'm going to try that again, docked. Yeah.
Because I think
a game like that probably needs to be 1080p, versus 720p. Just
the appeal was
to see the details of what you need to see to play.
So I've been playing some Apex. I've also been playing, and I want to talk about this one just for a few minutes because I've got a video for it up on our YouTube channel. Stubbs the Zombie and Rebel Without a Pulse. This is, for those of you who aren't familiar with this game, it is a game that originally launched on the Xbox. Yeah, the OG Xbox in 2005, which means this game is 16 years old and somehow has made its way to Switch, like a zombie.
That's what happens when you learn how to drive. You go places you haven't ever been before.
That's right. So in this game, you are playing as a zombie who pops up from the ground outside of a town called Punch Bowl, which is this weird kind of like 1950s, like what people in the 50s thought technology would be. Like there's hover cars
So like a
and
Fallout
robots and monorail. Yeah, kind of. But this Punch Bowl city is like a utopia where there's no crime and no everything. So this zombie shows up and basically causes this jock to lose his hot dog. And so he punches the zombie. And the first action you take in the game is to punch him back and then eat his brains. So you begin to roam around the city, killing people and eating their brains, and they join you as zombie followers. And you could do all kinds of like there's
Marty, the Zombie
powers,
King.
There's powers that you gain throughout the game, like you can like throw your brain and it explodes like a grenade, or like if you eat enough brains you get gas and then you can fart and everybody's stunned, and then you eat their brains.
South Park game.
It's irreverent humor, but here's the thing: it's smartly written and it's a ton of fun, but it looks like an Xbox game. Like I don't think they did anything to it to remaster or anything. I think they just straight ported it to the Switch. And fun fact, this game was originally made by Wide Load Games, who were some of the developers who made Halo 1. Oh. So it actually plays fairly well. If you watch my video, it did crash during the video, and I was like, well, that's the end. But I still recommend it. It's not very expensive. I think it's like $17 or $18 on the Switch, maybe 20. If you're looking for like a irreverent 3D action game, then I think you might like Stubbs. It's fun. It makes you laugh. There's zombie disco. It's not very long, and it doesn't have that much replay value. So it may be one that you want to wish list and wait till it goes on sale, because it's going to. All right. It's like there will be a sale on this game eventually. But
I checked to see what the resolution of the original Xbox was, to see if they had to do, like, originally thinking it was only 480p, like the GameCube. But apparently it could go to 780 to 720p or 1080i with component cable. So yeah, they probably literally did just port it over and change nothing else.
And I mean,
it already had a 720p mode.
Other than the error on, and it closing out on that video, you can go watch. It runs well, and it's just bizarre and fun. And actually, what I hope happens is that it somehow, and this is pun intended, I guess, finds new life on the Switch and gets really popular, and they make a sequel. Always remember thinking, why did they not make another one of these, right? Because for an Xbox game at that time, it was extremely well made. So, I want more Stubbs the Zombie. And speaking of zombies, I'm going to be picking up Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville as it launches, today, as you hear this on Friday. So we'll talk about that on next week's show.
Speaking of games you're going to play next week, Loop Hero is Mac compatible.
Yeah. Okay. Taking a little mini vacay at the start of next week, and now I'm taking my Mac. With that being said, let's turn on the community spotlights. We have a lot of community interaction this week. We've already done some of those, but let's dive right in here. From email, Bruce Patterson just sent us an email that said some words. Bruce.
Good night, show. Thank you for watching.
We appreciate you. Actually, I wanted to highlight this because Bruce won a contest for a copy of No Straight Roads, which was actually a deluxe, like collector's copy. It came with an art book and some drumsticks and the game, and
I didn't even know about this contest.
vinyl LP of the game music. And he did a really sweet little video with his family unboxing that. And at the end, it was like, see what happens if you follow Nintendo Dads on Twitter?
Yes.
And I was like, yes. Great job, Bruce. We appreciate it. He's a super chill guy, and love interacting with him. He's one of our biggest cheerleaders. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. John asks us this from Patreon. He says, it's March Madness time. Which Nintendo franchises would make your Final Four? Who takes the championship? I'll go first on this one. For me, my Final Four, and understand he said franchises, right? So I'm thinking broad picture. I'm thinking of like not just IP like a character, but I'm thinking of like games that have had successive entries. All right.
Yes.
So Mario, Zelda, Metroid, because I love Metroid, and Mario Kart.
Yes.
And
So the Mario franchise versus the Zelda franchise, and Mario Kart versus the Metroid.
Yeah.
Franchise.
So for me, it's coming down to Mario versus Mario Kart.
Okay.
And my decision there is Mario, because without Mario, there couldn't have been Mario Kart. Mario is quintessentially Nintendo for me. So that's my Final Four. That's my final answer.
Nice. And I'll go next since it looks like Jesse's trying to figure out his fourth one here.
Yeah,
I'll go.
I've admitted before that I don't like as many Nintendo franchises as I think I do.
So one surprise one will come in, and but eventually it'll just lose out.
Right.
So, but my Final Four is pretty close to yours, Marty. It looks like, except for instead of Mario Kart, it's AC. So I have Mario franchise versus Metroid franchise, and Zelda franchise versus AC, or Animal Crossing franchise. So, and I think it's going to come down to the championship going between Metroid and Zelda for me.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah, this is a tough one because I mean they all, for me, I could cop out and be like, oh yeah, they're all equal in my heart, but it's going to come down to probably, because I got nostalgia, right? Where Zelda, it's going to be a close game, essentially. It's a close game, championship game. Zelda versus Metroid franchises. Zelda was the first, The Link to the Past was the first game I ever completed. I don't know if it was 100%, but, it was the first game I completed on Super Nintendo. Even before Super Mario World. So I beat that there. And then, but Metroid, I've grown to love over the years, especially with the Prime series and all that kind of stuff. And especially because I've always liked the 2D Metroid stuff, especially on the GBA and all that kind of stuff. But the Prime series, both liking a 3D version of the game and 2D games, both games I really love. So, and then I look at the aesthetic of these games too. When they have those special editions, what do we usually get? We usually get Zelda stuff, right? Not very many Metroid stuff. But when we did, I actually got the 3DS eventually, the Super 3DS, the 3DS, the new 3DS XL with the Samus on it. And I absolutely love that 3DS. I'm going to have to go with Metroid with this. Metroid pulls it out, maybe the last minute buzz at the buzzer shot. And they win the championship for me. Metroid, the franchise.
Wow.
All right, Jesse.
All right. So the first three off the top of my head was really easy. Mario franchise, Zelda franchise, Metroid. In spite of Prime, I prefer the 2D games. So I'm wanting that new Metroid game that follows Fusion.
Yes, I do too.
Anyway, and then so the fourth one I thought of was then Pikmin, of course. So
yes,
You know, like
Good.
if any game comes out in either of those 4 franchises, except for Prime, I am buying day one. So I have, of course, I have to have Mario and Zelda on different sides because they're going to end up winning their respective brackets over Metroid and Pikmin. And you know, as I said last week, you know, my favorite game is, or whatever I'm currently playing. So it yo-yos. So it's like literally a coin flip of, and I don't know if I can announce an answer here because it can go either way from, you know, change. You know,
Here, I'll do a coin flip for you. Let me get my coin out.
I didn't
do one
literally
here.
mean it.
I'll do Mario as heads and Zelda's tails. So heads it is. Mario's the winner of this championship.
Just because it was the last game I played, right?
So Mario won 2 and Metroid won 1. So that means that in the March Madness of Nintendo, Mario is the champion.
Mario's the champion.
And look, I mean, what better? Which of those two has Samus ever played basketball? No. Has Mario played basketball? Oh yeah,
yes,
3-on-3 hoops, baby.
That's true.
Mario basketball. He got it. Anyway, no, I just think it's interesting. Metroid takes it for you, and understand that we're saying here. No, we're not saying any of these other franchises are bad,
nope.
Right? Like
they made the Final Four.
It's just
right.
that
They all have to be good if they're here.
What Tim is saying is that if he had his druthers, he'd rather have a new Metroid game than a new Mario game. Right?
Maybe it's because I'm dying for one.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Who knows?
But it was, like I said, it was a hard choice. You know, it's because I love all these franchises because I'm a Nintendo fan, right? So, and that's why it
pained me to axe Zelda. I mean,
right,
and Metroid,
and
Mario Kart. Anyway,
this next one's going to make us think again.
Yeah, Jesus Amada says this, gentlemen, Nintendo has approached you to reveal the future of Zelda games, but needs your input to decide what they do. They have 2 collections of Zelda games ready to reveal for the Zelda 35th anniversary. Zelda 3D All-Stars and Zelda 2D All-Stars HD. Imagine an Octopath style revamp. But they can only tell us that they will give us one. If you choose one, it will be revealed for release at the beginning of next year, end of the fiscal year, and the other will be scrapped. Which one would you decide on now, given the time it takes to release a game? But gentlemen, here's the kicker. Choosing one of these will push back Breath of the Wild indefinitely. We might get it until the end of 2023 or maybe 2024. Choose wisely.
So we basically have 3 options. 2D collection, 3D collection, or none.
All right, well, let me just go ahead and make a bunch of people mad. 3D collection in the garbage, Breath of the Wild pushed back. Give me my remastered original Zelda, Zelda 2, Link to the Past, and Link Between Worlds. Boom. Done.
I'm agreeing with you on this one. Again, Breath of the Wild is, you know, I said this last week, is a game that I probably will never play again because due to the nature of the game, it's fun the first time.
Yeah, well, and without trying to be super silly about it, here's why I chose that one. Honestly, all those other 3D games have gotten remakes already.
Yeah.
It's time for Zelda's deep past to get some remakes. It's time for them, people to experience what started it all over again. Yeah. I think I said this on a podcast I guested on last week.
Nintendo's just waiting for me to start playing them on the Wii U to announce them for Switch.
And that's exactly why I would pick the 2D All-Star HD as well. But I would also include as much of the handheld 2D games as possible.
I forgot.
So, like Minish Cap and the Oracle games, putting those in there. Even though they're Capcom, I know it's probably harder, but I'm dreaming here.
Let me ask
still
this.
Nintendo published.
I would want those on there.
Are Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks considered 2D?
They play like a 2D game, even though
they're both in there too. Just dump the Zelda bucket in there. Let's go.
That one might be a separate game thing because of that would be like a special, hey, turn your Switch sideways and play the DS style game
and
that way.
you need to play with your
Let's do it.
smartphone in the app to get the microphone.
Or do that, yeah.
Don't give them ideas, Jesse.
There's a special clip-on thing for your cell phone, so you can have a...
Can I reveal the third mystery choice?
Sure.
That did not get mentioned here. Here's the real choice. Do you choose the Zelda 2D HD All-Star, or do you choose Zelda 3D All-Stars, or do you choose Zelda CDI All-Stars?
Nay.
Where you get remasters of Link, The Faces of Evil, Zelda the Wand of Chameleon, and Zelda's Adventure.
I choose the 2D still, but if you pre-order, you get that as a bonus.
Remake them into an HD garbage can.
Oh. Yeah, I like
it.
I like it. A little sass. Thank you, Mr. Waldack.
You're welcome.
We would love to know what you would choose out there. Tell us we're wrong. Tell us we're right. We all chose the 2D collection.
Yep.
I feel like there's some people out there who are like,
There's a couple. There's the G Acre said 2D. He would go with that. And then Quag says, nah, dog, just give me Breath of the Wild 2.
There you go. Don't need all that other stuff I've already played.
I don't need to replay it. That's right.
All right, let's move on to this question. Simon Hawkins says, I have a game voucher for the Nintendo eShop that runs out next month. I can't decide on which game to get with it. I'm looking for a hidden gem. If you were me, having played the obvious choices like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, what would you do? Thank you, guys.
I would pick, if you guys don't mind, I'll just jump in and say what it is. Origami King, because I think playing that game beyond the hype and getting into it on your own time and terms, I think you would enjoy it very much. That's my pick.
If Octopath Traveler qualifies, I think that one would be a good one if you haven't already played that.
Nice.
And if you're at least if you're one of the people who didn't want it just because it was $60, at least it's free here. If the alternative is you lose your voucher, what did and see, I had another one in mind and now I lost it. And I don't know if you've played Pikmin, Pikmin 3. That's still a really good game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice choices.
So my thoughts, Tim, I got to agree with you there with your choice of Origami King. That wasn't the first one that popped to my mind, but I now that I think about it, I think Origami King is probably an excellent choice there, is definitely an excellent choice. I loved that game, and I think everybody should play it. I think it's one of the best Paper Mario games ever.
Yes.
My suggestion was Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Another good one. Yeah,
I think that is because it can scratch two itches, right? I mean, you can play it alone and it's great, or it's great couch co-op or online co-op. And it's Marvel.
Yes.
And it's really well done. And I feel like it did not get its due at all.
It's a good jump in and just go at it and play.
It's a great stress reliever game.
Yeah.
Mash these buttons. Yeah.
Yep.
So there you go. Those are some very solid choices. Trey Hickman mentions this. He says, Super Nintendo World opened today in Osaka. Yeah, we forgot about that. Miyamoto was on hand to open Super Nintendo World to the public, and it looked awesome. It looked pretty epic. I'm very jealous. Can't wait for it to open here in America. He says this, asks us, what Mario games, worlds, levels do you think would make a good ride? I'm going to jump in here because as soon as he said that, I was like, you know what would be great? Here it is. There's this level in Super Mario World that you kind of have to work to find. All right. And you only see these things in this level. There's a level where these dolphins with like snorkel masks jump out of the water and carry you across to the other side. You know, like you do the whole level, like jumping from back to back of these. Water ride.
Yeah.
All
There
right.
you
You're
go.
going down, coming up, you're going down, coming up, and there's like, you know, you're the water's splashing, and there's you could have like the different you know, you got different because like of course there's going to be a Mario Kart ride, right? There's going to be like you're going around the Super Nintendo Land. There's Mario Land enemies everywhere, but what about bloopers and the urchins and cheeps and stuff like that? You work them all in there. A water ride because y'all, it is hot in Florida. It is hot.
Yes.
We need the water ride. There you go. What are you guys thinking?
Thinking like a Donkey Kong minecart ride.
Okay.
I haven't put as much thought into mine as you put into yours, but that's all I came up with.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something different because I was going along the same lines of that dolphin thing, but with the bigger Yoshi water one, like the one we see in Bowser's Fury. You know, the one that you jump on the back of and you're traversing the water. And all that kind of stuff. Yes. Like that would be another water ride type thing that I was thinking of. But then I was trying to think of something else. And I think what you guys came up with is probably really good ones there. I'd have to think more about it.
What about like think about this, like what about a Dr. Mario experience?
How so?
Are you Dr. Mario or are you on the table?
No, so like what I'm thinking is you got these things, and maybe it's kind of like a bowling alley, but it's also like slanted down. And you've got the viruses and they're moving back and forth across here at the bottom, and you've got the foam pills and you got kids in throwing the pills down. How many can you knock down? How, you know, and if you hit a yellow and then you hit another yellow, it's a combo, you know, like, I don't know. I just think that'd be cool.
That's cool. Oh, I got it. Okay. It's going to be Metroid based. We need a Metroid based game, kind of like your, the tower that was at Disney World. What is the Hollywood
Tower of Terror.
Tower of Terror, but make it Metroid based, and also have like everybody has like a light gun, kind of like some of those rides where you go through and you can shoot things, but you're going through the Tower of Terror, but it's a Zebus planet or something like that, where you know where you can go, you're going through the planet and some of those elevators there or some of those shafts there, and you're shooting some of the aliens in there, and then you're seeing like the story as you're going through each floor, and then at some point you drop. So that's my ride.
All right, I got one more. You ready for this?
Yes.
Classic theme park haunted house. But you've got the backpack and the light gun.
Oh yes.
Is in the vacuum.
Yes.
And it is Can You Survive Luigi's Mansion?
Yes, there you go.
Let's go. I want it. Like
Nintendo Dads is going to go work at Universal now. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Universal Dads, theme park dads.
That's right.
We appreciate it. One last question from Twitter. Mecha Dragon 101. Great question. Are you ever too old to learn something new? And he says, like I'm currently trying to learn how to draw. Also, what skill are you dads currently trying to learn? For me, it was a few years ago. I don't know that I'm necessarily trying to learn, but a few years ago, I self-taught myself enough to be dangerous on Photoshop.
Look out.
And then Canva came along, and it kind of made me lazy.
Well,
Canva's pretty amazing.
Even with Canva, I still do some things in GIMP, which is like the freeware version of Photoshop, which to fine-tune things before importing them into Canva to make the final product. So that still can come in handy.
Yep. For me, I'm actually back in certification class, which is taking up a lot of my time for cybersecurity. So you are never too old to learn, and you should always be learning. I think it's always what we've all been taught through our lives. Or even if you weren't, eventually you learn that you have to keep learning to make it, nowadays. You know, you got to keep up on what you're passionate about, and all that kind of stuff, and stay current on thing and changing trends. For me, it's cybersecurity has really is a little bit outside of the scope of things that I do a little bit because my day job is a, a user acceptance tester. So I test devices and hardware and software and all that kind of stuff. But I'm dabbling now. Well, not dabbling, but my work is aware that I'm taking this type of security stuff, and so they're looking at ways I can get involved in the security side of things for that. So, but yeah, that's. I feel like there's times where it's harder as I get older to learn new things, but I just have to put more effort into it. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, it's like there's not a lot of things that I can think that I've kind of taught myself over the years that not related to my work. Like I like I well, I think it was 2009 ish. I I started learning how to do iPhone app programming. This is back with before they called it iOS. It was like iPhone OS 3 or 2.
Yeah.
But that that was using Objective C, so that was I knew C as a background, so that helped. But this was just like C and C sharp or C++ are offshoots of each other. This Objective C is a different offshoot of C, going a different direction. That each of them had 25 years, now 35 years to evolve on their own. So I completely forgot everything I've learned, and I've always wanted to relearn Swift, which is like the new language for iOS development, and I've just never gotten around to it. Back when I was played with the SCA before, they kind of pissed me off, and I stopped joining them. I started picking up archery, and so I got to the point when I was making my own arrows. Now they like buy parts and glue them together and 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 fire them, and they work. Wow, they made something. But I think more for what I'm not actively trying to learn more. I'm just kind of absorbing it as I need to. But video editing is what I kind of learned the most on recently. I'm using Sony Vegas as my editing software, and every time I want to do something I don't know how to do, I'm constantly looking up YouTube videos and to show me how to do things that I don't. And I've had to go back and relearn the same thing 3 or 4 times because I don't use them often enough.
Right.
But I think that those are my answers.
Yeah, and that's for some of the fun things or the side things that not related to my job too. I've had to learn I've enjoyed learning about if statements, if then that this type thing, through Internet of Things type of stuff, automating things, and it's actually helped with work. Yeah, if then that type of thing. Yeah, so I've been having a lot of fun learning that type of thing, and I had to learn some of it already with Discord, with our Discord community, trying to say, bring in, if this happens on YouTube, bring it into our Discord. So some of the earlier stuff, that's why you see that in our Discord. So yeah, it's easier to learn something new, especially when you want to, or for something fun. It's a little bit harder when it's job related. But even so, in my job, I'm learning more automation stuff too, for automation testing, and that's been a lot of fun. I've been enjoying that. It's been very rewarding.
Busy.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing too, like in the past couple of years, I've learned how to stream, learn how to edit and record YouTube videos and post those up, and getting better at that, and that, podcasting. I don't think that there's ever. I think the limitations that we put on ourselves in those things are limitations that we dream up. Like it's like, I get frustrated at my in-laws. Particularly my mother-in-law sometimes. I love my mother-in-law, and she'll never hear this, but I'm just throwing this out here. Like, she just flat refuses to learn how to do stuff sometimes. And I'm like, why would you ever get to that point where you're like, I'm just not even going to try it. I'm just not even going to do it. I'm just throwing my hands up, and I'm going to let somebody else do it like a few years ago, like many of us have had happen, her like checking account got hacked, right? Like that's pretty commonplace now, unfortunately. And she, not only did she stop like doing online banking, she stopped buying anything online. And she like went and bought like a paper ledger where she could write down all of her transactions and stuff. And it was like,
She's like, I'm done.
she was like, I'm done. I'm never doing anything online again. Not even, and I'm like, there's ways around this
Right.
where, and I was like, I just don't, I don't understand the, like, here's where I don't understand. Like, I understand I've tried it and I can't do it, right? Like, I've tried it and I can't do it. So I need some help. What I can't understand is I don't know how to do it and I won't try it. Yeah. And to me, that just kind of makes no sense. And so
Right.
I think the limitations that we put on that we feel are the limitations we put on ourselves.
Right. Or thinking you're entitled, to think that I've learned enough, or I've gotten to a certain point saying that I know this, I don't need to learn anything else, I'm done, I'm superior, but yeah, or whatever, it depends on the attitude as well.
I got something that I want to throw in that I don't know and want to learn. I've been thinking about it off and on for the past several months, and Rogers also recently started doing it on his channel, having like a VTuber avatar.
Okay.
So like that might be fun to have in some videos from time to time.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, and like you're saying, it's all just about like in the learning. Like, take time to figure it out. I think one of the problems that we have a lot now is that maybe none of us feel like we can slow down enough to learn something. Right? Like, I've got so much going on. How can I take time to learn it? Well, again, take time.
Yes.
It takes time.
Like if I wanted, like if I ever have the time to do this, I would have to learn how to use 3D modeling software, how to define the motion points, how to have software trigger the motion points if I want to open my mouth, close my eyes, do things with fingers, things like that. So
right.
that's a lot of pre-work. I think Roger hired someone to do his model for him, but that's kind of the thing I'd want to kind of build that from scratch myself, I would think.
Nice. Yeah.
Well, guys, that is episode 318 of Nintendo Dads. We want to thank you if you watched along live with us for hanging out. And if you've made it all the way here in the audio version of the podcast, thanks again for listening to this episode. We appreciate each and every one of you. And, our community is a big reason that this whole thing keeps going. You can be a part of the Discord community by going over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. And as we close out the show, we want to say a huge thanks to our Patreon producers, Chris Mears, Dave Ernsberger, Antonio Contronio, and Christopher Waring, for being so awesome and backing us at that $30 level. You can go over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads and find all of the levels and all the benefits over there. Again, you can get in for just a little under $1 a month. Guys, did y'all know that we have over 5,200 YouTube subscribers now?
Say what?
5,200 and almost 1,000 followers on Twitch, 969 as of the recording of this show. Let's see if we can let's do that. Let's do that 1,000 this weekend.
Yes.
Share our Twitch with your friends, share our YouTube with your friends. You can do that by telling them to go over to nintendodads.org, where they'll see Twitch, YouTube, all of our podcast episodes, Patreon page, social media, our Extra Life 2021 campaign, which has already started, and the TeePublic and Redbubble store, where you can go and buy some sweet Nintendo Dads merch. Merch is awesome. Like, you can buy my avatar on a shirt. Not anybody else's. It's mine.
I'm wearing
Marty?
6 avatars on my current.
You want to
shirt.
wear You want to wear Mega Marty on your shirt. I promise. It's looks great. I bought one for myself. Came out of the bedroom the other day wearing it. My wife goes, "Are you really going to wear a T-shirt with your own avatar on it?" I was like, "Yep. Gonna do it."
Right. Has some confidence.
Already done it. Stay in there. She's like, yeah, of course you are.
You could have told her, I'll take it off for you if you want me to take it off.
Nobody wants that. Nobody. Honestly. But here's what we do want. Email us over at nintendodads@gmail.com or call in and leave a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. Big thanks to OC Remix for this music used throughout the show. And remember, sharing is caring. A 5-star review and some words written about the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Spotify, wherever we are, helps people find the show. Tell them what you like. Don't tell them what you don't like. Just tell them what you like. And you know what? Tim, you're fired from the show for eating Oreos that I can't have. You're fired. And they're the white chocolate covered. So next week we are auditioning a new cast member for Nintendo Dads because Tim's fired. I'm very jealous. Tim, you're not fired. Stop it. You can't see this if you're listening to audio. He's showing me the Oreos. This has been episode 318 of Nintendo Dads. For me, for Jesse, and the traitor Tim Off, not sharing his Oreos. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
We sound like the goddamn Nintendo Dads all of a sudden.